It's been 4 years since the storm, and New Orleans is starving for health care. With so much depending on the construction of a new hospital, there have been a lot of questions about how a hospital will be funded and what exactly that money will provide. LSU has been asking for $1.2 billion to build a new hospital on their proposed site across 37 acres of historic Lower Mid-City, and has been confident that they have a business plan to pay for it. Like many of us, House Speaker Jim Tucker has assumed that this $1.2 billion would earn us a full meal. In his words, from soup to dessert. The math works out like this. $300 million has already been approved by the legislature. $492 million would come from FEMA funds for Katrina damage to Charity Hospital, and the rest of the money, over $400 million, would be borrowed and paid back by future revenue from the hospital. Critics aren't so confident in the plan. FEMA has twice rejected the state's appeal for $492 million and is currently only offering $150 million. Louisiana Treasurer John Kennedy has repeatedly expressed his concern that should LSU bring its current business plan to Wall Street, they would be, quote, laughed out of the building. But if all this works, and again, these are big ifs, and LSU is able to find funding for its proposal, what will we actually be getting? Surprisingly, this $1.2 billion would pay for only half the meal. LSU is still finalizing its design for the hospital, but each of their concepts share similar characteristics. 3 wings of inpatient beds, a clinic building, a diagnostic and treatment wing, a parking garage, and a central energy plant. However, more than half of these buildings are slated for what LSU is calling future construction for Phase 2. There is currently no timetable, bed count, or financing plan for Phase 2. LSU officials have said that extra land would not be used until the hospital expansion. In the meantime, they said, it will likely be surface parking. Lower Mid-City residents and business owners affected by the hospital plans are outraged that they would have their property seized and demolished during Phase 1 without a plan or a promise that anything will be built in its place. If we are able to raise the $1.2 billion, what happens to the 4-course meal we were told we would get? It turned out to be a plate of iceberg lettuce.